So, fabulous second graders, have you decided which of all our tales are you voting for? Yeah, we have a lot of them. I'm not going to run through all of them, but do you have a favorite? Or do you have one that you think is going to win? Well, we'll find out today. Here we go. We made good time along the Reamsway and into Canterbury, clattering through a gate in the wall so narrow I feared for the widow's hat. After the mud and turf of the country ride, the cobblestones jarred through the horses' stiffening legs. We were glad to tumble off outside the Templars' hospital. That's not a place for injured people, scholars. It's just where travelers could stay. It's with monks. I'd prefer to spend the night at the inn, said the miller. But as it was, our group was so big, it took every bed the friars could offer us. No inn in Canterbury would have been large enough. Ranged along the refectory table, we shifted uncomfortably on our benches after the long ride, and were too tired to speak. Only as we wiped the trenchers clean with crusts of bread and supped a second cup of wine did we feel like talking again. Well, said the summoner, leaning across to rap the table in front of Harry, who won? Ah, said Harry, is that everybody then? No more stories? Oh, here they are riding into Canterbury. Sorry, scholars. All right. We all looked at each other, trying to match each face to the story it had told. Well, it's obvious, isn't it? Said the miller. For a laugh, it's gotta be the friar. That's supposing I can't vote for myself. Humorous stories are all very well, said the prioress, licking her lips so that no crumb should escape. But we must consider the value of the stories. How much do they teach us about life? Hear, hear, squeaked the summoner, plastering his hair across his skull with the palm of a sweaty hand. I voted for Brother John's story myself. That's the one about Chanticleer the rooster. But then I've always liked words over and above the meaning wrapped up in them. The knight and his son both thought it chivalrous to vote for a lady. They gave one look to the widow and voted for the young nun. But when the scholar was asked for his opinion, he said, I'm afraid I wasn't listening much. Sorry. Well, where does that leave us? Asked the magistrate waspishly. To my astonishment, I noticed that Harry was holding hands under the table with the widow. What did you say? He asked when he noticed everyone's eyes upon him. It's a split vote, I explained. We can't agree who won. Oh, I can tell you that, said Harry, and his face split into a smile as broad and as white as a harvest moon. I won. There were murmurs of discontent. Had the contest been rigged from the start? Did Harry even tell a story? Was the referee about to change the rules in his own favor? I have won the agreement of this excellent lady, said Harry, standing up and bowing to the widow, to become my wife. You're all invited to the wedding when we get back to Southwark. The prioress sniffed. The partner gave a disapproving bleat. Ugh. But most of us cheered and stamped and banged our mugs on the table. But whose story was the best? Said the magistrate peevishly. The widow got to her feet as majestic as an oak tree. She patted Harry on his bald head. Your word is absolutely final, of course, my pet, she said. But if I could make one suggestion, these people won't be satisfied until someone is declared the best storyteller. Now, there's not one story with more votes than another. So, I suggest we all tell a story on the way back to part the sheep from the goats, so to speak. I tell you, reader, you never saw an idea so well received. I'll tell you about the time I fought smugglers in the Spanish Main, said the ship's captain. Have you heard the one about the three-legged ox? Asked the miller. Oh, there's the best story I once heard about the... Wait till you hear mine, though. Stop! Stop. The parson was holding up his hand for silence. Let there be stories every mile of the way home. But let us give over tomorrow to the truth. Tomorrow we'll pray in the cathedral. That's the truth. That's no story. And that's all I wanted to say. And he sat down. He had silenced us. Suddenly, I remembered the reason for our trip. So, Brother John said, not in the least cast down, let's all take ourselves and our Thanksgiving to the cathedral. Then maybe all the saints in heaven will look down on our homeward journey and listen to our stories. I dare say they relish a good story as much as the next man. Amen, said the parson thoughtfully. Amen, roared the rest of us, all except the cook, who was asleep under the table. The end. So, fabulous scholars, it actually happens that Geoffrey Chaucer died before he could finish his book. So he paused it about halfway through when everyone was going to the cathedral at Canterbury. Remember, this was a pilgrimage, a trip to a holy place for Christianity. And he never finished it. So we never find out who won. That's the way it goes sometimes. Good books, good stories sometimes leave us with questions. Who would have won if Chaucer had finished it? We'll never know, but I bet you could make your best guess. All right, tomorrow we will start a new book, a tale from the time of the Vikings. At least it's set in the time of the Vikings. So, scholars, I'll see you then. Bye.